Another review for you today from Everyday Tactical Vids. This is Tim, and we're taking a look at a knife from Schrade, as you can see, and this is the SCHA4B assisted opening knife. Just show you end to end what it looks like. There's your blade, thumb stud on the top there, handle, there's your safety mechanism, lanyard hole, some jimping there, other side, thumb stud, some patent information, pocket clip, and then back down to the lanyard hole. So some of the details. First off, cost. It's going to run you around $35 or $40 for most retailers. There are 4 different knives just like this in a line of knives that Schrade puts out. You have this one, which as you can see, black handle, black blade, and no serrations. There's another one that's just like this basically, but with partially serrated. There's another blade that is black on the ends, but it has a light gray inlay on this portion of the handle and on the other side. And then same thing, black on the ends, light gray inlay, and then partially serrated blade. So 4 different knives from all the same basically family of knives from Schrade. Some of the details on this one: your blade length is 3.3 inches, close length 4.4, your weight is 5.1 ounces. The handle is aluminum. The steel is 4034 stainless steel. So that's going to definitely be good as far as everyday use and beating it up. If you're going to be in any kind of environment that is wet, it will definitely hold up to the moisture quite well. You can see mine's a little bit dirty here. I haven't cleaned it up recently. But those are some of the specs on the knife. Let's talk through some of the details here. Starting at the end, you can see we have a nice size hole for a lanyard. Sometimes you get lanyard holes and you can't even fit any kind of cordage through that. So that's nice. Jimping here on the top, you can see, on the bottom, and then over here on the top as well. So this actually runs up onto the back, the spine of the blade, which is nice. So you get some nice positive control there. And obviously this big scoop, you can actually lay your thumb in there like that as well. So back here to the back, again, you've got this all as one color, and then you have your safety here. So when it is red is dead, so that means that you can open the blade or close the blade. So you can see with my liner lock now, I can close it and I can open it. When I do lock this in, when the blade is open, I cannot close the blade. So just something to keep in mind once you do actually actuate the blade, that you should lock this into place. As I mentioned, we do have some jimping on the handle, and then you can see, if I hold it right, you can see we have some jimping down here on the actual liner lock. So that's the liner lock there. Moving up, we do have thumb studs, and then this blade, we'll talk about that in a second. Let me close the blade up for a second real quick. You can see we do have the finger actuator here. They call this the Magic Assist system to open up the blade. One thing I do like about this, so it is spring assisted, and once it is actually open, that assist mechanism or button disappears. On some of the other Schrade blades, that stays out. I don't like that personally, so I like to have a nice smooth top here to get control of the blade. I don't want to have to work around some button that's sticking out, so I think that's a definite plus of this knife. Something I do want to note is that obviously I just deployed the blade using the finger actuator up here, but you can also do it once it's on red with either one of these thumb studs, and you can see those there on both sides, and that'll deploy the blade out quite nicely. I'll fold it up here again just to show you. Thumb stud, and deploy it out. Now something you may see is that when you do it with the thumb stud, the finger actuator doesn't disappear into the handle. You can, however, just push it down. So now it's out of the way. I found that some of the times I deploy it with the thumb stud, it will push the actuator down into the handle, and sometimes it will not. That time you see that it did happen. But when it doesn't, obviously what you can just do is go like this, and you've deployed it using the thumb studs, and you're ready to go. A couple other thoughts here. First, I don't think I mentioned the end-to-end length of this knife when it's fully deployed. So you can see here, just about 7 3/4 end-to-end. And just to compare it to some other EDC blades that I often use, if you're Everyday Tactical Vids follow, you know I love my Griptilian. So that's how it compares to the Griptilian. Almost the exact same size. And then the Mini Barrage, you can see that that is definitely smaller blade length and smaller handle length as well. So there's just a comparison between those three. As far as width of the blade, top to bottom, the Schrade is definitely the largest. This would be in the middle, and then the Mini Barrage would be the smallest. Another thing to consider here is the thickness of the handle. Now that can be a plus or a minus depending on how you use the knife. If you want a really thick handle, so you can use the knife aggressively and have a lot to hold on to, a lot of real estate there. That could be awesome. If you want something that's a little sleeker or thinner so it sits in your pocket as an EDC knife, that's something else to consider. So let me show you very quickly here, starting with the Mini Barrage. You can see that's just about 1/2 inch right there. And then onto the Griptilian. It's about 9/16. And then for the Schrade at the widest portion, is almost 3/4 of an inch. So just something to keep in mind, that you do have quite a thick handle there that will be in your pocket. Again, pluses or minuses depending on what you prefer, but just something to be aware of. A couple final thoughts here on the Schrade SCHA4B. First thing I'll tell you is that I haven't used this knife a ton. I've had it for a while, but I don't have a ton of experience, so I can't speak to using it for 6 months and giving you the report. This is much more of an overview to tell you some information about it and let you look at it so you can figure out what you think about it. On the plus side, lanyard hole, nice size. Again, I mentioned sometimes you get a lanyard hole. It's not even worth having because you can't fit anything into it. Lots of jimping. Jimping here, down on the bottom, on the back, and on the underside. And then the actual handle, I like that quite a bit because this rubberized texture just gives you a nice solid feel and good control. I like that. This is a little bit short for me when it comes to the jimping, but I do like this, what I'm calling a scoop, because I like to put my thumb up there when I'm doing work. So that to me is a plus of this knife. The overall size of the blade, I like a knife like this. So I'm into the 0 tolerance blades. I think those are quite cool. This is definitely not the same thing as a 0 tolerance, but that wider blade I think is actually kind of a neat feature. So for me, I would not use this as an EDC knife. I'd use this as a utility knife. And the reason I say that is because in my setting where I work, not a lot of people are carrying knives, and so I think this might stand out a little bit because of the handle thickness. And obviously we do have a pocket clip here, so I showed you that at the beginning, but you can certainly wear this as an EDC knife. If I was in a setting like, say, landscaping, I was working in a construction setting or something like that where a lot of people had knives on them, maybe carrying utility blades around, this would be a good knife, I think, in that setting. The fact that it's stainless steel, there you go. So if it gets wet, you're not going to have as much of an issue with it, corrosion or anything like that. So that for me would be the general use for this knife. EDC knife, if I was in that type of setting. If not, just a general utility knife you could throw into your bag. Price point around $35 to $40, so quite reasonable for what I think is a pretty cool looking knife. I just think it's pretty unique compared to a lot of other blades that are out there. So check it out. Again, this is the Schrade SCHA4B. You can find it online at various retailers or at your local brick and mortar store. As always, thanks for checking out Everyday Tactical Vids. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and check us out on Tumblr. Take care, everyone.